Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I think it is modding time for the KS0 Ultra. So as a disclaimer, this does void your warranty. It can brick this device and shorten the lifespan of it. And just a fair warning, other people have bricked this in the past, so the only current overclocking settings right now is from T-Swift, and he advises to follow the directions detailed, because any skipped step or speed reading can definitely mess it up. So my best decision is, if you do go down this route, just be very careful, and let's get into it. So in order to mod the KS0 Ultra, we are going to need a few things, because the chips inside the MOSFETs, they get really hot, and when you're overclocking them, we will need sufficient airflow through this device and copper heat sinks. And then we will also need thermal pads, thermal paste, just to make sure everything is properly cooling the miner down. And just so you guys don't know, this miner does like to run really hot, but there's a thing as too hot, where it will, fry up the components and stuff inside. So that's why when you're overclocking it, you're, increasing the threshold of the chips and voltage and overclocking this, so it does get hotter. That's why we're needing all this stuff here. So a few items I have for the thermal paste is the M6 Arctic. We will be replacing the thermal paste that Ice River uses. We'll see that in a minute. I have the 1.5 thickness Arctic TP3 pads. This is the thermal glue that will be gluing the copper heat sinks onto the MOSFETs. And when we are removing the thermal paste, the Ice Rivers likes to use, it's best to use, isopropyl alcohol with a few, cotton balls and Q-tips. And since we are gonna be blowing air into this, there are some 3D designs. You can have something like this where it does allow airflow, or just we'll be unscrewing the face plates here on both sides, and you can just leave them and it'll have more airflow. And the higher you go on the overclocks, the more heavy duty fans you need. So I have these AC Infinity fans with a speed controller that goes to low, medium, high. And what the fan is attached to is called a shroud. It's 3D printed, and what it's gonna do is you'll have two fans on each side, and they just slip in on each side, and they'll be blowing fan in. And to do the overclocks, you do need more power. So the default one, if you were to buy from Ice River, is not going to be enough. The medium kind of recommended would be the 230 watt chargers, but if you want to reach around the 650 to 700 gigahash, you're going to need the 330 watt adapter, and that one's kind of expensive, and T-Swift recommends that no one does it because it's kind of pushing the ice river to the limit. And these will all be in the description down below, and I do have a nifty, you know, tool set here for any type of screw, because the screws, there's 4 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, same on the other side. They were kind of tight and hard to get out, but we are going to need to open this to add in all the modding configurations. So we'll need to do, like I said, 4 on this side and 4 on this side. 3, 4, and this is the warranty sticker, and there's a screw underneath here. So again, this does void warranty. And then on the bottom here, there are 6 screws, 3 on each side, that we will need to be taking out to open this thing. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, I had some trouble on getting some of these screws out. They were really tight to the point where they wouldn't budge, and so what I had to do was actually drill into the screw because they started getting stripped, and this one right here kind of broke off. It was so bad that it wouldn't come off at all, and I managed to get one faceplate off. This one was all the 4 screws on this side here, but for the rest they were pretty easy to get off. So let's just start unscrewing them now. And sort of like a car or anything, you want to do in like a zigzag or star. You just don't want to do just like one side unscrewing. You want to do it in a zigzag. Okay, I got all 6 on the top screwed off, and I just got the warranty sticker side. I need to remove all 4, and here's the warranty sticker with the screw underneath. So let's unscrew these ones. And the screws on the faceplate are a bit smaller than the ones that are on the top of the heatsink, so just bear in mind that they're different sizes, so make sure to keep them separate. Sometimes these faceplates are a little hard to come off. They might not just fall out like that, so try to just get them off. And we are ready to open this. If anyone wants to see, this is what it looks on the inside with all of the faceplates taken off. But the next step is to actually open the inside so we can do the copper heatsink. So let's open it up. And you want to go slow because there is the thermal pads under here. So, and the two fans are connected onto the board, so you don't want to just, you know, open it quick. You want to go slow as best you can here. And it might be a little forced to open this, so let's see. It's one side, it's slowly coming out. There we go. And this is the inside of the KS0 Ultra. So once you have it open, what we are going to need to do is actually take apart and unscrew these screws right here, but you want to be even more careful because the board is to attach to these thread lock razors, and if you don't slowly unscrew a little bit by bit for each of the screws, not all the way, this PC board can crack, so you want to be extra careful. And the reason why we're taking this out is because we are going to do the new thermal paste replacement under the chips, which is underneath. So let's get unscrewing this. So I'm doing like about a turn each for these here. And I'm not sure why they actually did these thread locks on the KS0 Pro and just KS0. They didn't do this, so just gotta be more careful this time with these. Like I said, you don't want to go fast, just, you know, take your time when doing this. You don't want to be rushing or anything, so make sure, you know, set some time off and doing this carefully here. Oops. Okay, so once you removed all 8 screws carefully and slowly, doing kind of a zigzag star pattern, it's best to just remove these fan cables and put them back because we're going to be taking out the board to do the chips. So let's do that. if you can see, these are the chips, and they got this clay, not so good thermal paste on them. So what we're gonna do is clean it up with the alcohol using Q-tips and so forth to clean them up. And you know, just be careful with the thermal pads and anything else on the other side. So I got my cotton ball here, and I'm just gonna try to clean it up, get rid of all these big thermal paste. And you know, try your best to clean them up as much as possible. And you also want to clean the existing paste on there as well. I don't know how much I'm gonna get off, but let's see how much I can get off. Okay, so once you have cleaned up the chips pretty good, you're gonna put on new thermal paste, and what you do is just add a little dot to each spot. One second here. I think that's a good amount right there, and you're going to do it for all of these chips. See, like that. Other side. Okay, there's the new thermal paste on there. So what we're gonna do is now put it back on the Ultra, KS0 Ultra, and we'll screw it back in. So you want to make sure to line it up with the holes of where it is before you put it down. And then same thing, you want to screw it back in slowly in a star zigzag pattern. The next step is what we're going to do is to add copper heat sinks to these 4 MOSFETs with a copper heat sinks. They are a 6x6x5. I'll have all of these on the description below. But what we're gonna do is apply the thermal glue and attach these copper heat sinks to help cool down these MOSFETs when overclocking, because they do get really hot and you don't want to get them too hot. And I believe the cure time for this is approximately 24 hours. So let's get these on here. And you don't need a lot, you just need a little bit on there, like actually don't need too much on there. Make sure they're straight and push down so they actually make contact with the chips. Okay, I got my 4 copper hinks in, and for me, I know it's not the best job because you can see some gaps kind of where the thermal pads are cut, but mine didn't break, so I think I'll keep these for now, and if the temperatures start acting up or they get too high, then I'll start adding in the Arctic thermal pads. But that is essentially it. Let's put it back together and let's go on with doing the framework, but let's add this in first. I got it all screwed back up, and you can slowly see in there, I don't know if you can, the MOSFETs are in there, and there is the README file for the different various overclocking, but if you're going to do the 500 to 560, you do need to keep both of the face plates open, and also you'll need a fan, not the USB ones, but like a plug-in high fan like I showed you with the AC Infinity. You would just attach it on top of here and blow out. But if you're going any higher, this is where the fan shrouds would come in, and the barrel plug, for example, would go in these holes right here. Do that first, then you plug it in there, and this just slides in like that, and that's what it would look like with the fan shroud. One would be blowing air in, and if you have another fan with the fan shroud, the other one would be blowing air out. So you got to watch your fan directions, which is usually on here, that tells you where the fan directions is go. So I'm going to get this all set up, and then we'll go to the workstation to start doing the firmware for the overclocks. Okay, we have the iServer back up and running after we did the copper heatsink and new thermal paste. It has not had the overclock applied to it yet. It's just still running stock because there's a few steps we need to do with a firmware update to apply the overclocks, but the normal is around 400 gigahash. That's the stock firmware, and we need to download the overclocks provided by T-Swift in his Telegram channel, which is Swift Mining. Here he lists there are two versions of the overclocks. There's the licensing and dev fee one. If you want the licensing, you have to message him. If you want just the developer fee, which is 0.5%, you just click on the link here and you'll know it's the right one, because make sure whatever device you are doing, make sure it's the right one. In this case, ours is the KS0 Ultra, and then this is dev fee in version 3 of this overclocks. In the zip file, you can see the various overclock settings, and the most important is the readme file. And in here, T-Swift provides a detailed step-by-step instructions to follow, otherwise you'll brick your device. So we are going to open it and read it, but first there are 3 different files here. You'll see 505G, 505GH, and 505GL. In the readme file, it tells you to start with the lowest voltage, which is the GL, and then you would do to the medium settings, which is the G, and then GH is high voltage. So when we open up the readme file, it tells you that you need to follow it closely, otherwise you can cause damage to your device. The first warning is the important one: do not reset factory settings or hold the reset button on the device after doing any of the overclocking, because the thing that will happen is it will brick the chip, as it says here. After flashing the init file, only use T-Swift. Don't be mix and matching, so make sure you don't do that. When you're using the overclock, there's inherent risk involved, and don't power a machine using 12-volt server power supply unless you're extremely proficient. And it says not to recommend do the 700 overclock unless you are really wanting to, but not recommended. So this is the device modifications that we have already did, like remove the 2 metal side panels, upgrade power supply, which is I have the 230 watt high performance 3000 RPM fan like the AC Infinity. We did the copper heatsinks, not aluminum, to the 4 MOSFETs. We used the thermoglue to apply to them. I have attached the fan shroud case to mine to blow on the power side, because the barrel plug does get hot and it'll help cool it down. I applied the thermal paste to the 12 ASIC chips, and these are the various requirements that we'll need to do if you're choosing the overclocks. And he says to start from the lowest overclocks and work your way up. Don't just suddenly click the 656 and start with that. Always start with the lowest first. Don't just jump to the one you want. And this is the update instructions. So we are going to need to close the ice for a monitor tool. So let me close that out. We're going to upload the init file that's included, and it says to restart the machine afterwards, and it's not necessary to reset prior to this. So if we go to the dashboard, let me just refresh it, make sure it's online. We're going to go to the firmware update. You will select the file here, which is the init_update, and just ignore this, it doesn't mean anything. And again, make sure you have actually clicked the proper firmware update. Don't be making mix and matching with different devices. So, because this is the KS0 Ultra, you don't want to do like the KS5 L firmware on this. It'll mess it up. So once you do that, we click update, and you'll see a message that should say succeeded, and that means we're pretty much halfway there here. Okay, operation succeeded. So what we do is click OK, and then we're gonna follow the instructions to restart it. So let's restart it. And we'll say succeeded again, and then it says to upload the desired overclock firmware. Start with the lower hash rate version, which is that GL, and then move up to the higher firmware. And again, it says here, don't start with the highest one, and try the L version first. And after like an hour, normally you would see if it reaches the hash rate that it's intended. If not, then you would just upload to the medium and then the high version. Okay, so we're gonna follow the instructions here. So we're gonna click the 505 and the lower L version, and then you click select file, update, and we'll see if this gets operation succeeded. And then we will restart the miner again to see if it gets to the desired hash rate. So once you have uploaded the version of firmware overclock that you want, once it reboots, you'll know that it worked. If you see T-Swift's icon here, and you can also see, which version you are on, and we'll wait for it to boot up to see if it will start hashing at the GL version. And you want to make sure your pool address and wallet is the same, and the instruction says to make sure that this is around 100%. So we're going to do that, click save, and then we are going to see if it starts hashing here. It will need to go up in value on the temperatures. So I'll get back to you guys and see if anything happens with this firmware version. Okay, it has been running for about 2 hours now, and as you can see, I'm still on the 505 GL version. It's going for 527 gigahash now, which is really good, and the temperatures are actually really good. It's only staying around 60, 62, and yeah, so if, let's say, this one didn't work for you, you would need to go to the 505G version, which is the medium, and then if that one doesn't work, then you would need to go to the GH version. So since it is stable, I am going to try to at least reach the 600 overclocks here, and I will let you guys know if I can reach that. It has been 4 hours since I have updated my KS0 Ultra to the 618 G version, and I am proud to say that it has been pretty consistent here with the temperatures of the board below 75. I haven't seen any issues. If we look at the Ice River monitor here, most of the chips are below 70, and the board in is 73, so I think I am gonna leave it here since I would need the 330 watt power adapter to overclock it even more, but I don't feel comfortable with reaching that high, so I think I am gonna stop right here. And let me know if you guys are gonna be overclocking your KS0 Ultras or not, and make sure to like and subscribe this video if you've gone this far, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next video. See ya.